our number one prospect, Roki Sasaki. 2 starts, 4.2 innings, a little bit fewer, 5.79 ERA, a little bit fewer maybe we want. So it's a time for the scouting report presented by FanDuel Sports Network. So, Geoff, how worried should we be? I mean, it's only 2 starts, but Roki Sasaki so far has not exactly dominated, I think it's fair to say. How worried, if you're a Dodgers fan or just a fan of prospect, how worried should we be about Roki Sasaki?
Yeah, I think like the long-term outlook and perspective that you have to have is that we always thought there were going to be some things that he sort of had to figure out once he came stateside, just in terms of, how to execute, against major league hitters, the type of lineups, the type of pitches he was going to have to throw. He's coming off, an injury-plagued year where the performance had gone down a little bit. It was all part of that, initial signing process when he was meeting with teams, just in terms of learning what their development plans might be for him. It's also, in the Dodgers' hands, and they've done a good job of, getting the most out of almost every pitcher that's come through. The Dodgers over the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of this run. I think you got to put some faith into that. In the short term, I do think it's a little bit concerning. This is a 23-year-old kid, kind of thrust into, the limelight, but also being put onto, one of the best teams assembled. I think at least in my lifetime, my 40 years plus here on the earth, just in terms of the overall talent and the pitching staff as well. It's good to see that he's at least healthy. Hopefully this is just something that he can work out, and it's just, an issue of adjusting to the seams or the mount height, whatever it might be something as small as that. But I think we always thought there would be some bumps in the road, particularly early, when I sort of took a step back and was evaluating Roki this offseason. Doesn't change, his perspective for me on him being the number one prospect or number one of the Dodger system or anything along those lines. I don't think we should overreact like that.
I went back and I watched every pitch I could see from both the 2 regular season starts, but also his spring training outings. I've watched a lot of Roki in Japan before that, and obviously the World Baseball Classic. The thing that just stands out is that, I mean, it's a simple command and control question right now, and I don't have worries personally that that's like something that's going to be a long-term issue. He just cannot locate his fastball. Especially that start against the Tigers, he could not locate his fastball. We talk about a little scouting term. Glove side, okay, for right-handers, the side that you hold the glove on. Arm side, you're the pitching side. So everything with his fastball, he could not go glove side with his fastball, and he kept missing out of the zone arm side over and over and over. And really, the whole setup for Sasaki, the stuff was fine, but if he can't locate that, and his splitter was the same problem. He was missing splitters like that you were almost having to duck out of the way of as a right-handed hitter. That's not where a splitter should be going. I think the whole profile counts. You kind of do require with him getting ahead in counts somewhat, because you can spit on the splitter a lot more if he's behind in counts. You end up having to rely on the slider, I think, a little bit more than ideal. But Carlos, I would, with the splitter, it's a great pitch, but do you have concerns about just how well he's commanding it?
Yeah, I think what's fascinating about pitchers that have such a splitter dominant profile is, like you said, you have to get ahead in counts for that to be effective against major league hitters. They can spit on a splitter. A splitter traditionally is a chase pitch. It's a pitch that is so effective because the velocity and movement combination is so difficult to square up. Well, for pitchers, that's hard to throw as a reliable in the zone strike offering. You look at the 26 batters he's faced, he's getting behind in the count. 17 of those 26 plate appearances, and it's because he's not establishing the fastball in the zone. When you're constantly working behind and your primary swing and miss pitch is a splitter, that's not going to be a pitch that you can kind of throw when behind the count to work back in those counts. So I think it's just simply like having confidence that his fastball is good enough to where he does not need to be precise to be effective or to miss bats at the major league level. He's sitting in the upper 90s with that heater. I think you see from young pitchers a lot of the times you go to the majors and you're so worried about being perfect and not allowing any sort of contact that you start trusting your stuff maybe a little bit less. I think he has the sort of stuff where he can just locate it in the zone, get ahead in counts, and then let that splitter go to work. But we see this for pitchers who are not named Roki Sasaki, who rely on splitters. You have to have confidence and command in your fastball. I'm not too concerned that he's not going to have that moving forward. Maybe it's just him being a little bit nervous, trying to be a little bit too precise. But that's definitely going to be something to watch for. Is he getting the fastball in the zone early? Is he getting the slider in the zone early and counts to help set up that devastating splitter?
The other thing I would say to watch for when Roki makes his next start is everything kind of in on the hands of right-handers or away from lefties. You can't. The big leagues hitters are really good. You can't just basically say I'm just going to live in this one little spot. And again, a lot of that's come back to command and control. You have to be able to kind of put a threat where hitters have to cover more of the plate. He hasn't been able to do that, especially in that last start. And that kind of meant that even with his fastball, okay, his fastball is really good. But if you're only having to look in kind of 1/3 of the plate and saying if it's not here, it's going to be a ball, then you're making the hitter's job a little bit too easy. We've seen that so far. I would actually say one thing about Geoff Pontes is, yes, this is a great team. I think that might be an advantage for Roki Sasaki in a lot of ways here because for all his troubles, for all his struggles, as we're talking about this, the Dodgers are 5-0. This is a team that can look at this very big picture and say, if he takes a month and a half, 2 months to work out and figure it out, we're really focused on him being a Roki Sasaki who can dominate in October much more than having to worry that a rough start in April or May is going to doom their playoff chances. This team's going to the playoffs. We already know that. And so with that, they kind of have a little bit more patience, a little bit more ability to take their time, even if, let's just be honest, their AAA rotation is probably better than a number of teams' big league rotations. You can stream live MLB games through FanDuel Sports Network. And if you use the promo code BASEBALL30, that's baseball30, you can start it off with a 30-day extended free trial at FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. Teams include the Tigers, the Royals, the Angels, the Marlins, the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Rays, the Reds. Offer expires 5/2/25, $19.99 a month after the free trial. Cancel during your free trial to avoid any charges. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com for details.